The Warhound Titan. 1100 points of one of the biggest, fastest and strongest mechanized terrors the Imperium could muster, towering over the battlefield in all its titanic glory, striking fear into the souls of all who stand in its shadow, mere ants to be crushed under the mighty feet of this unfathomable colossus. In the latest game of the Crusade I'm in, I had the honour of being the first person to go against Steve's new Warhound Titan. Going into this match, I was 0-2 against Steve's Knights and 1-7 overall, so this was a must-win, and entering the room and seeing a Warhound Titan stare back at me with glowing eyes and then literally roaring at me, I felt like I was in serious trouble. Fortunately for me, it turns out Warhound Titans are 1,100 points of style and very little substance. 1 Warhound and 6 War Dogs are no match for the power of 12 Centurions, a Storm Raven, and a Dream. The game was pretty much decided after Steve's push down this flank to take me off as many points as possible backfired. The Storm Raven went down during the fight phase, allowing me to deposit my embarked Melter Centurion safely. I was then able to put my Devastator Centurions into Strategic Reserves and move them to get line of sight on his Warlord. My Flamer Centurions, which were usually in Strategic Reserves, were actually deployed to protect against any Strategic Reserve shenanigans in my backline. Turns out it was a great position for them, because when Steve was coming down this flank, they were very, very close to just get that counter charge. Basically, my second turn was the most perfect positioning I could hope for. A full round of punching and shooting from all of my Centurions into the perfect targets for them. My counter-offensive proved too much, and I managed to take every single War Dog off the board, leaving just the Warhound. I mean, it really is no surprise that my Centurions are absolutely the best thing in my Crusade list. And in fact, in my non-Crusade lists. Hell, they're the best thing I have. They're amazing. I love Centurions. Get 3 of these guys into melee with a tank or a vehicle, and they are basically doing like 21 wounds of damage. It's insane. And the Devastator Centurions as well are just amazing. Apart from the one game where my opponent decided to roll every single 4-up invuln on the planet, in Vanguard Spearhead, they can jump around the table and just take out whatever the hell they want. Warhound was certainly a spectacle. It looked amazing on the table, and anything it pointed a gun at died. Well, almost anything. But in melee, it struggled to even kill a single Centurion. And looking at the profile, you can see why. It feels wrong that this behemoth of a unit can't kill a unit of 10 guardsmen in a single turn. This gargantuan pile of resin really should be able to just splat infantry and smash through tanks. And whilst the guns it has are scary and wipes a unit each time, they aren't brilliant. I mean, even the absurd Warlord Titan, 3,500 points and over $1,000 of pure chunk. And those feet, the size of a knight's base, do 4 damage. And I do get it. I understand why Titans are underpowered. If they were good, it would shape the game far too much around them. This isn't Age of Sigmar, where 750 plus point models are fairly common. The biggest things are usually around 400 points, Knights and Wraith Knights and stuff like that. Except the Stomper, which is over 800, but no one uses that. You don't want things like this shaping both the casual and competitive meta, but they're still a really cool spectacle, so it's nice that they're around. It was absolutely awesome to look across the battlefield and see this gigantic mechanical monstrosity gazing down at my units. And frankly, I was happy to get a win, because Steve decided not to bring his 2 big knights who had accrued a substantial collection of upgrades. Yes, that is a Knight Explorer with a lone operative. That thing is horrifying. It isn't a terrible unit, and it probably could be used to good effect in certain situations. Maybe it's more effective outside of Knights, where you get 900 points of something with a bit more width, a few more units you can use around the board, and not 6 War Dogs that are susceptible to being punched in the face by a Siege Drill or a Dreadnought that is too angry to die. If I could offer a suggestion, and I'm sure this is a great suggestion because my concept of balance is absolutely top notch, I reckon with a bit of a melee profile shift, this can become a bit more reasonable at doing what it should be doing, and more flavorful as well. Let's have a look at the profile currently. It's 8 attacks, 4 up BS, strength 10, -1 AP, 2 damage. It's a weird profile, but I understand it. These things can move 14 inches, but that's like 2 strides, so they aren't exactly agile. It probably is a bit tricky to actually get this thing to lift the leg up and stomp down on something with any sort of accuracy. They are quite lumbering, but when it does hit, it should absolutely squash you into the second dimension. Do you know what else does 2 damage with their melee weapon? Devastator Centurions. The same AP as well, -1 AP, 2 damage from a Centurion Devastator, who has las cannons attached to his fists. Centurions are so cool, they just backhand you with an entire cannon, and that does more damage, or the same amount of damage as a Warhound, War Dog, Pound Lord. There's so many war things. There's a lot of war. I think 8 attacks is there to let it kill a few Space Marines in one fight phase, but I think with a bit of Age of Sigmar and 9th edition inspiration, we can give this a more interesting profile. And yeah, adding new mechanics to 10th edition, an edition which streamlined everything into succinct and understandable keywords, probably a hard sell, but these are Warlord Titans, and very rarely come up, so Why not? 2 or 3 attacks, still BS4, strength 10, minus 2 AP, d6 plus 6 damage, which can bleed over. Age of Sigmar had bleed over damage, and in 9th edition, the Magna Rail from Leagues of Votann also had this, but it was only on 6s. This way, it has that big stomp trying to crush the ants, but each time it does manage to get something under its mighty boot, it does some serious damage. With the bleed over damage, it doesn't lose effectiveness against a unit of lightly armored foes, and make it minus 2 AP at least. As much as the human spirit is a strong, powerful force, the human body shouldn't be able to save against being stomped on by a bajillion-ton walking super tank with a bad attitude. Titans are extremely cool, and it's very, very rare you're ever going to go against one. I mean, the Warhound Titan is the only one that actually fits into a 2,000-point army. And I do understand the hesitation about making this thing good. It should just be a spectacle. It shouldn't actually be something that you would legitimately want to bring in a real list. It's a perfect representation of that over-the-top futuristic warfare that we come to love about Warhammer 40k. Titans exist purely as a flex, really. So you might as well go a bit further and give it some fluffy absurdity that isn't particularly strong, but just looks and sounds cool. Hell, give it 1 attack that hits on a 6, but if it does, it just kills the unit. Why not? A 1 in 6 chance to just drop kick whatever's in front of it. Sure, why not? Not very balanced, but it's fun. They're Titans. Let them do something Titan-y. Age of Sigmar elects Gargant suplex things, so why not? What have your experiences been like with Titans? Have you had any success with them? Let me know in the comments below with your stories, opinions, and stuff about Titans, and thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this, go and like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.